Have you ever walked away from a conversation with a woman, heart pounding, mind racing, wondering, was she into me? Or was I just imagining it? It's a question every man has asked at some point, and for most, the answer remains a frustrating mystery. But what if I told you that women do give signals when they find a man attractive? Subtle ones hidden in plain sight, 8 of them, to be exact, and understanding these could change the way you experience relationships forever. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to the channel and like this video, because what you'll discover today isn't just psychology, it's ancient wisdom fused with modern science. Watch until the end, because knowing these signs could unlock a level of confidence and clarity you've never felt in your love life. Let's begin with a story that might sound familiar. Marcus had always been the quiet observer. Not Marcus Aurelius, the emperor and philosopher we'll speak of soon, but Marcus, a 28-year-old software engineer from Chicago. He wasn't the loudest guy in the room. He didn't wear flashy clothes. He wasn't what magazines would call hot. But one evening at a friend's birthday dinner, something strange happened. He caught a woman, Lena, glancing at him across the table. Just a flicker at first. Then when he spoke, she leaned in. When he laughed, she smiled. He left the restaurant confused. They didn't exchange numbers. They didn't have a long talk. Yet something felt different. A week later, they ran into each other at a bookstore. This time, Lena approached him. "You're Marcus, right?" she asked. 6 months later, they were together. Marcus never forgot that night at the dinner table. The glance, the lean in, the subtle signs. He later told a friend, "I think she was already interested. I just didn't know how to read it." What Marcus missed are the same signals most men overlook every day. But today we won't. Let's decode the 8 hidden signals women give when they find you attractive, with insights from psychology and Marcus Aurelius. 1. The lingering glance. Let me ask you something. Do you remember the first time someone looked at you and you felt it? I mean, really felt it. Not just a glance, not just passing eye contact, but that moment where your stomach dropped for half a second and your chest felt like it forgot how to breathe. Maybe it was in school, or at a party, or in a quiet coffee shop. That one glance that said, "I see you." That is not just a look. That's desire quietly knocking at your door. Let's rewind to a moment that might sound familiar to you, because it could have been you. It was late October. Leaves scattered across a dimly lit sidewalk outside a bookstore. Josh, maybe a guy like you, was flipping through a copy of Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. He wasn't there to meet anyone. He wasn't trying to impress anyone. Just a man, a book, and some peace. But then she walked in. Black coat, gentle eyes, a slow, confident stride. And just as she passed him, she looked. Not the kind of look you give when you're curious about a stranger. Not a glance of politeness. It was longer than that. Her eyes rested on him just a beat too long. Just enough to stir something inside him. Just enough to make him wonder, was that something? He tried to ignore it. He told himself she was probably just people watching. But the look lingered in his mind all night. Now let me ask you, has that ever happened to you? Have you ever walked away wondering, did I just miss something important? See, psychology calls this the lingering glance. It's subtle, but it's powerful. When a woman is attracted to you, she might not shout it from the rooftops, but her eyes, they'll betray her heart. There's something ancient about the way humans communicate through eyes. Long before language, long before texts or emojis, the eyes told the story. And they still do. In fact, research shows that prolonged eye contact stimulates the release of oxytocin, the bonding hormone. It's like the body's way of saying, this person matters. Now imagine this. How many signals have you missed just because you didn't know what to look for? That woman at the gym who held your gaze 2 seconds too long. That coworker who looked at you during a meeting, not once but twice. That girl in the cafe who looked up when you walked in and kept looking even after you passed. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." And when a woman finds you attractive, her thoughts are already painting a picture. So the next time you notice a woman looking at you, and her gaze lingers, don't dismiss it. Don't second guess it. Don't brush it off like you always do. Look back, hold it, feel the energy, because in that split second, your entire story might be unfolding. And maybe, just maybe, you'll no longer be a background character in someone else's glance, but the beginning of something unforgettable. 2. She mirrors your movements. Have you ever noticed someone doing something just seconds after you did it? You take a sip of your drink, she does too. You lean in a little, she leans in. You scratch your neck, she touches her hair. At first it seems like a coincidence, but the more you see it, the more it feels like something else, something unspoken, something deeper. Let me take you back to a moment that could have been your own. Alex, just a regular guy, quiet confidence, nothing flashy, was out at a rooftop lounge with a few friends. He wasn't there to impress anyone. He wasn't peacocking. He was just present. Then he met Mia. They were introduced casually. A simple, "Hey, what do you do?" kind of conversation. But something started to happen as the minutes passed. Every time he adjusted his posture, so did she. When he leaned against the bar with his left elbow, she mirrored him with her right. When he took a sip of his drink, her hand moved almost in rhythm. He thought he was imagining it. But then, without thinking, he reached up to rub the back of his neck, and a moment later she touched hers too. It was like watching a dance, but without music. Just two people moving in sync. That, my friend, is mirroring, one of the strongest unconscious signals of attraction. Now let me ask you, have you ever felt like someone was matching your energy before you even finished expressing it? Think back to a time when a woman just seemed to vibe with you. The conversation felt easy. Your body language was relaxed. Everything just flowed. That's not an accident. According to psychologists, mirroring is a biological bonding mechanism. It's the body's way of saying, "I feel safe with you. I want to connect." We mirror people we like, people we admire, people we're drawn to. It's the same reason couples who've been together for years often start walking at the same pace, laughing in sync, or even saying the same phrases. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Adapt yourself to the life you have been given, and truly love the people with whom destiny has surrounded you." Mirroring is a form of adaptation. When she mirrors you, even unconsciously, it's her body whispering, "I want to belong in your world." The next time you're with a woman and you start noticing these reflections, her crossing her legs, the way you do, her sitting back when you do, her posture echoing yours, don't ignore it. It's not just imitation, it's intimacy in its first language. So pay attention not to what she says, but what she shows. Mirroring is attraction dressed as coincidence. And when it starts happening, you're no longer strangers. You're becoming synchronized. 3. Her voice changes around you. Have you ever been around a woman and suddenly her voice just changed? Softer, sweeter, warmer, like it was just meant for you. You're standing there not even sure what you said, and yet her tone shifted. The world didn't change, but she did. It's like her words started wrapping around you like silk, and you couldn't quite explain why. Now maybe you thought, she's just being nice, or maybe you shrugged it off. But here's the truth, her voice gave her away. Let's talk about Ryan, a guy who, like many of us, wasn't great at reading signs. He wasn't a mind reader, and he wasn't trying to be one. He just wanted something real.
One night at a mutual friend's game night, he met Eliza.
They started talking about something random, books, movies, the usual, but he noticed something strange. When she spoke to others, her voice was sharp, clear, confident. But with him, it dropped just slightly. It was slower, more rhythmic. Almost like a song. He wasn't imagining it. And neither are you if you've felt it before. Science backs this up. When a woman is around someone she's attracted to, her vocal tone subtly shifts, often higher in pitch and softer in delivery. It's not conscious. It's instinct. It's how the body says, "I want to be closer to you." Researchers from Albright College found that women naturally raise their voice pitch and soften their vocal tone when speaking to someone they find attractive. It's an ancient biological signal of femininity, gentleness, and connection. But there's more to it than science. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth." In love, truth hides in tone, not just in words. Because when a woman lowers her guard, her voice follows. You might notice she slows her speech when she talks to you. Not out of hesitation, but because she's choosing her words more carefully. She's investing. She might pause more, giving you space to speak, listening, not just waiting to reply. And most of all, you'll feel like her voice is touching you before her hands ever do. Now think back. Has there ever been a woman who just made your heart slow down? Not with her looks, but with the way she said your name? The way she laughed at your jokes even when they weren't funny? The way she asked, "How was your day?" Like it mattered? That wasn't just politeness. That was a signal. You weren't just talking. You were being pulled in gently, carefully. So next time you're talking with a woman and you hear that softness, that subtle shift in tone, don't ignore it. Don't downplay it. It's not always what's said that tells the truth. It's how it's said. 4. She plays with her hair or jewelry. Have you ever been talking to a woman and suddenly she starts twirling her hair or gently fiddling with a bracelet? And in that moment, you're not even sure why, but your heart starts beating just a little faster? It's small, subtle, almost invisible if you're not paying attention, but something about it pulls you in. Let's rewind to a moment that might sound familiar, because it could have been you. Daniel was sitting across from Emma at a coffee shop, a casual meetup through mutual friends. No pressure, no expectations, just small talk about books, movies, and the way fall always feels nostalgic. But something kept catching his eye. Every time she looked at him, her hand drifted to her necklace. Not once, not twice, constantly. Her fingers traced the chain around her neck, gently twisting the pendant. And then a few minutes later, when the conversation turned more playful, she reached up and slowly began twirling a strand of her hair. He thought he was imagining it. Was she nervous? Distracted? But she wasn't fidgeting. She was flirting without saying a word. See, this is one of the oldest subconscious signals in the book. When a woman is attracted to you, her body often moves before her mind does. And that movement? It's most often in her hands, playing with her hair, adjusting her earrings, sliding her fingers over her bracelet. And it's not just psychology, it's biology. According to body language experts, when a woman plays with her hair, especially while maintaining eye contact, it's a classic preening behavior, a way of drawing attention to her femininity, her neck, her softness, a signal that says, I want you to notice me, without me having to say it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. Now think about that. When a woman is attracted to you, she often doesn't think it out loud. She feels it. And her hands, those tiny gestures, reveal her internal world. You may have missed it before. That girl you talked to in class who was twisting her ponytail as you spoke. That woman on the train who kept brushing her hair behind her ear every time you looked up. That cashier who played with her bracelet while asking, is that all for you today? In a slightly softer voice than she used with the guy before you. None of that is random. It's not about the hair. It's not about the bracelet. It's about you. Her body is signaling openness, attraction, nervous excitement. Because when a woman starts playing with her hair or jewelry around you, it means you've entered her awareness in a very specific way. You're not just someone in the room anymore. You're someone she feels. So the next time you see that little twist of the necklace, that slow stroke of her curls, don't ignore it. Watch her eyes, watch her hands, and most importantly, feel what's happening beneath the surface. Because sometimes the loudest truths are told with the quietest touches. 5. She initiates micro-touches. Have you ever felt electricity from the lightest touch? Not something dramatic. Not a kiss. Not a hug. Just a brief graze of her fingers on your arm. A hey, paired with a soft touch on your shoulder. A playful shove that lingered a second longer than it should have. The kind of contact that doesn't shout but whispers. If you have, then you already know the power of micro-touches. Let me take you back to a story that could have been yours. Ely met Maya during a weekend hiking trip with mutual friends. They had only known each other a few hours. They weren't alone, and they weren't even trying to flirt. But something started happening. As they talked, she laughed at his jokes, leaned in, then gently tapped his forearm. When they paused for water, she brushed past him lightly, touching his lower back just enough to make him feel it. Later, as they walked side by side, she nudged him playfully with her elbow after a sarcastic comment. He didn't think much of it at first, but the fourth time she touched him, this time on the hand as she passed him a snack, he started wondering, is this what I think it is? And the truth it was. Micro-touches are not accidental. When a woman is attracted to you, she may not jump into your arms, but she'll find small, safe ways to make contact. And these moments, though they seem casual, are loaded with meaning. Psychologists call this proximity testing. It's how humans gauge intimacy by breaking the invisible barrier of personal space. A woman who likes you will often seek small excuses to touch you, not because she has to, but because she wants to. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When a woman touches you softly, repeatedly, it's not just her skin reaching out, it's her thoughts, dyed with the color of affection. And here's something most men miss: the difference between accidental touch and intentional micro-touching. An accidental brush is quick, almost apologetic. But intentional micro-touches are intentional pauses in movement. A gentle tap on your hand as she says, "You're so funny." A soft touch to your shoulder as she leans in. A hand on your knee during a shared laugh. It's physical punctuation to emotional connection. Now let me ask you, have you ever walked away from an interaction with a woman, remembering how it felt when she touched you? Even if it lasted less than a second, did that touch stay with you longer than the conversation itself? That's not in your head. That's her sending a message through touch saying, "I feel close to you, and I want to be closer." So the next time a woman reaches out in these subtle ways, don't ignore the feeling. Don't brush it off like it's nothing. Because love doesn't always arrive in fireworks. Sometimes it begins in fingertips. 6, she asks personal questions. Have you ever had a woman look you in the eyes? Not just glance at you, but look into you. And ask something like, "Do you believe in love at first sight?" Or, "What were you like as a kid?" Or even more subtle, "What's your biggest fear?" And in that moment you felt exposed, but also seen. Let's go back to a story you might recognize. Josh was at a quiet bar after work, winding down, sipping an old-fashioned, when Sarah, someone from another department, walked in. They'd met briefly in meetings, exchanged a few polite hellos, but this was the first real conversation. At first, it was surface level. Work stuff, the weather, coffee. But then, she leaned in and asked softly, "What's something most people don't know about you?" Josh smiled awkwardly, shrugged, tried to deflect with humor, but she didn't let it go. She wanted to know. Not in a nosy way, in a curious, sincere way. That's when he realized she was interested. Because here's the truth. When a woman starts asking personal questions, she's trying to step inside your world. She's not just filling silence. She's searching for meaning. According to psychologists, when we're attracted to someone, our curiosity about them spikes. We want to understand their emotional landscape, their past, their scars, their dreams. And asking personal questions is our natural way of saying, "I want to know who you really are." Now, Marcus Aurelius once said, "Look within. Within is the fountain of good, and it will ever bubble up if thou wilt ever dig." That's exactly what she's doing, digging. Not to hurt, not to pry, but to connect. When she asks about your childhood, your passions, your pain, it's not just conversation. It's connection disguised as curiosity. Let me ask you this. Has a woman ever asked you something that caught you off guard emotionally? Something no one had asked you in years? And when she did it make you want to open up? That's not coincidence. That's chemistry. Women don't waste emotional energy on men they aren't at least somewhat drawn to. If she's going beyond surface talk, if she's venturing into your memories, your mindset, your soul, she's signaling something powerful. I'm not just here for the moment. I'm wondering if there's more. So if she asks what keeps you up at night, if she wants to know what kind of relationship your parents had, if she asks how you handle heartbreak, she's not interviewing you. She's inviting you to be vulnerable, to be real. Because attraction, especially from a woman, doesn't always look like seduction. Sometimes it looks like a question. A moment where she pauses, tilts her head, and says, "Tell me about the real you." And if that's ever happened to you, you know how hard that is to forget. So tell me, have you had a woman ask you something that made you feel truly seen? 7, she laughs, even when you're not that funny. Be honest with yourself. Have you ever cracked a joke, a really average one, maybe even a bad one, and she burst out laughing, like you were the next Dave Chappelle? And in that moment, you weren't sure if you were hilarious or if something else was happening. Let's rewind to a moment that might hit close to home. Aaron had just started a new job. He wasn't the loudest guy in the room. He didn't try to be the center of attention. He just showed up, did his thing. One day during lunch, he found himself sitting across from Lila, someone from the marketing department. She had this quiet elegance, like someone who had a million thoughts behind her smile. He made a dumb joke about how his sandwich looked like a mistake. The chef regretted halfway through making, and she laughed. Not just a polite chuckle, a real head-tilted, eyes-lit-up laugh. He was caught off guard. It wasn't that funny, so he tried another joke. This one even worse, and again, she laughed. That was the moment Aaron realized she wasn't laughing at the joke. She was laughing at him, or more accurately, because of him. See, when a woman is drawn to you, her brain gets flooded with dopamine, the chemical of anticipation and pleasure. And when that happens, her emotional filters change. Her smile becomes easier. Her laughter flows more freely. Things become funnier not because they are, but because of who's saying them. There's real psychology behind this. Studies show that women are more likely to laugh in the presence of someone they're attracted to. It's a subconscious signal that says, I enjoy you. I feel good around you. I want you to feel encouraged by me. And Marcus Aurelius? He might have said it like this: the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. And when she's around you, her thoughts feel good. That's why she laughs. That's why your dumbest jokes hit like stand-up gold. It's not about being funny. It's about being felt. Now let me ask you, have you ever made a girl laugh and walked away wondering, did I just become more attractive? Or is she already feeling something? Did you think you were charming? Or did her laughter make you feel that way? Because laughter is one of the most intimate sounds two people can share. It opens the door to trust, to safety, to desire. And when she gives you that gift freely, even when your jokes are terrible, it's not just courtesy, it's chemistry. So don't brush it off. Don't downplay it. When she laughs at you, not mockingly, but meltingly, she's letting her guard down. And maybe, just maybe, she's hoping you'll laugh with her for a long time to come. 8. Her friends start acting different. Have you ever walked into a room and suddenly the vibe changed? Not because of anything you said or did, but because of who was already watching you. Let me tell you a story that might feel a little too familiar. Ethan had been hanging out with Mia for a few weeks. It was casual, friendly. They met through mutual friends. No big confessions, no late-night texts, just playful banter, some shared smiles and lingering eye contact. Then one Friday, he got invited to a party. Mia was there with her friends. And suddenly, everything felt off. Not in a bad way, just different. One of her friends, Jessica, nudged Mia when Ethan walked in. Another whispered something with a grin and glanced in his direction. Later, when he went to grab a drink, another friend randomly said, "So, how long have you and Mia been a thing?" He laughed, confused. "We're not." And she just smiled. Sure. That's when it hit him. It wasn't about what Mia was doing. It was about how her friends were reacting. You see, when a woman starts to develop feelings for you, she doesn't always announce it, but she shows it in subtle ways. And her friends, they see everything. More importantly, they become part of the signal. Psychologists call this social signaling. Women often communicate attraction through indirect behaviors, like sharing it with close friends first before making a move. Why? Because there's safety in numbers. There's protection in the tribe. And when her friends know she likes you, they start acting as silent ambassadors of her affection. They'll tease her in front of you, ask you weirdly personal questions, start paying attention to your every move, not because they like you, but because she does. Even Marcus Aurelius had insight into this kind of dynamic. He wrote, "What's done to one is done to all. We are woven together like threads of a garment." When a woman's emotions shift, so does the fabric of her friendships. Her affection ripples outward, and suddenly it's not just her looking at you differently, it's her entire circle. Let me ask you this. Have you ever walked into a group setting and felt like you were on stage, but you didn't know why? And later, you found out she had told her friends about you? That feeling? That shift in energy? That's a signal, one that most men miss. So the next time her friends are acting strange, laughing extra hard at your jokes, suddenly curious about your relationship status, teasing her when you're nearby, don't ignore it. Because when her friends act different, it means you are no longer just a guy in the room. You're the guy they've been hearing about. You've entered her emotional world, quietly, slowly, powerfully, and now you're part of the story. Tell me in the comments, have you ever felt her friends acting off around you? Did you realize what it meant in the moment or only afterward? Let's return to Marcus, the quiet observer. Months after he and Lena began dating, he asked her what really sparked her interest that night at the dinner table. She smiled and said, "You didn't even notice me at first, did you?" I thought I imagined it, he admitted. I was watching you the whole time, she said. You were calm. You weren't trying too hard. I liked that. She listed the signs, how she looked at him, mirrored him, laughed even when he was awkward. He missed them in the moment. But today, you won't. Because now you know. Closing message, sharp ending. The signals are there. Every day, all around you. But remember, the goal isn't to chase. It's to observe. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the art of living is more like wrestling than dancing. You must stay grounded, present, disciplined. Attraction isn't about control. It's about awareness. So the next time a woman looks your way, don't second guess it. Watch, listen, feel. Because real confidence isn't built by trying harder. It's built by understanding deeper. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.